It was just another ordinary evening at Miller's diner. Until a woman with tired eyes and trembling hands whispered one quiet question that froze everyone in the room. "Can I take the leftovers for my daughter?" No one expected that those simple words would change a hardened biker's life forever, and leave every person in that diner questioning what real kindness means. The clock above the counter ticked lazily, the smell of fried onions and coffee lingering in the air. It was almost closing time. The few remaining customers chatted softly, spoons clinking against coffee cups. At a corner booth sat a woman, maybe in her early 30s. With tangled hair, faded jeans, and a coat 2 sizes too big. She had the kind of face that carried stories. Stories of struggle, exhaustion, and quiet strength. The waitress, Brenda, noticed how the woman stared at the half-eaten burger on the plate in front of her. She hadn't ordered it. One of the truckers had left it behind untouched. Brenda hesitated, then approached gently. "You okay, hun?" she asked softly. The woman nodded, but her eyes were fixed on that plate. Would it be okay if I took those leftovers?" she asked, voice trembling. "They're for my daughter. She hasn't eaten since yesterday." The diner went silent. Even the hum of the ceiling fan felt loud. Brenda's heart sank. Before she could respond, a deep, gravelly voice from the next table broke through the silence. "You shouldn't have to ask for leftovers." Everyone turned. Sitting at the counter was a huge man in a leather jacket. Tattoos crawling up his arms, a long scar tracing down his cheek. A biker. The kind most people avoided making eye contact with. He slowly stood up, his boots heavy on the tile floor. The woman froze. Maybe out of fear. The biker walked over, reached into his wallet, and dropped a few bills on the counter. "Make her a fresh meal, and pack another one to go," he said to Brenda, his tone leaving no room for argument. Brenda blinked, surprised. "But, sir, that's too much." "Just do it," he said quietly. Then he turned to the woman, who looked at him like he was from another world. "You said you got a daughter, right?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "She's 7. Her name's Lily." He gave a small nod and muttered, "My little girl would have been 7 this year." For a moment, his tough expression faltered. A flash of pain, deep and old, passed through his eyes. Brenda brought out a warm plate of food and a takeout box. The woman's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. The biker just shook his head. "Feed your kid. That's thanks enough." But as she left with that food, something inside him shifted. A memory he'd buried years ago began to stir. The biker, whose name was Jack, stayed seated long after the woman left. His mind wasn't in the diner anymore. It was miles away, back in a small apartment where his wife used to sing lullabies to a baby girl. Her name was Lila. She'd died when she was 6, in a car accident. Jack had been on the road with his biker club that night. He missed her last birthday. Missed her last words. He blamed himself. For years. That guilt turned him cold. He stopped caring, stopped feeling. He rode miles and miles trying to forget, but the road only made the silence louder. And tonight hearing, "My daughter is 7, cracked something open in him he thought was long gone. Brenda approached quietly. "You okay, Jack?" He nodded, but his eyes were distant. "Yeah, just remembering something." She placed a cup of coffee in front of him. "You did a good thing tonight." He gave a faint smile. "Nah, just paid back a debt I could never repay." Outside, the night was cold. Jack got on his bike, engine rumbling to life. But just as he was about to pull away, he saw her again. The woman, sitting under the streetlight across the road, feeding a little girl from a takeout box. The girl's laughter echoed softly. Bright, innocent, full of life. Jack sat there, engine idling, watching. The sight broke him. Tears he hadn't shed in years began to fall. He took off his leather jacket, the one with his biker patch, and walked over. The woman looked up, startled. "Ma'am," Jack said quietly. "This'll keep her warm." He placed the jacket gently over the little girl's shoulders. "But this looks expensive," the woman said. He smiled faintly. "Doesn't matter. She reminds me of someone I loved once." The little girl smiled up at him. "Thank you, mister." He knelt down, his voice barely a whisper. You keep being brave, okay? And remember, there's always someone out there who cares. The woman began to cry again. But this time, they were tears of relief, of hope. Jack walked back to his bike, took one long look at them, and rode off into the night. The rumble of his engine faded down the empty street, leaving only silence, and hearts forever changed. Inside the diner, Brenda watched from the window, whispering to herself. Sometimes angels wear leather jackets. True kindness doesn't always come from those who have the most. It comes from those who remember what it's like to have nothing. Jack couldn't bring his daughter back. But that night, he saved someone else's. And sometimes, that's how healing begins. One small act of compassion at a time.